the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Makes the CFP in 2024 or 2025 is Ole Miss. It's weird to be that way in 2024, but that's where I am. I think of all the teams going into this year who have not made the college football playoff, I am most confident that Ole Miss makes their debut there. Are you in an alliance on that front, Matt Green?
They're near the top of my list, but I would not say I'm most confident, just simply because they're coming out of the SEC. Like, I know Ole Miss's schedule is not a gauntlet from what a lot of teams have in the SEC this year, but at the same time, they do have Georgia, they have LSU, they have Oklahoma. Like, I mean, for all that matter, they have to go into the swamp to play Florida. Like, it's not like we expect Florida to be good, but there's just we haven't seen Ole Miss ever play for an SEC championship, right? And that's not what necessarily the benchmark of being a college football playoff team. You could be the third, potentially even the fourth best team in the SEC and get in. And it feels like the stars are aligning that this is going to be Ole Miss's best team. And I don't know how when, at least since that Robert Kimdichie and that group was there in the first time Hugh Freeze was when Hugh Freeze was the head coach. But so I think Ole Miss, things are coming together for them, but it's hard for me to have them as the number one favorite to make their first playoff.
They just killed it in the portal. I mean, you just forget that Walter Nolan's now going to be in that interior. You have obviously Juice Wells right there in the slot. They do a lot of 11 personnel. I just look at this group, and I guess maybe the question is like, okay, well, John Jenkins is now at Ohio State. Like, how much of a drop-off does that mean? I don't think it goes that way. I go the alternate way, where this is going to give Jaxson Dart more opportunities to light teams up, and I think their passing game is going to be really good this year. I mean, you have Trey Harris, obviously coming back, who's a dynamite receiver. You have Jordan Watkins, who's back. So you have two starting returning guys. Deion Smith's a big transfer target. I'm not as worried that like it's gonna be Ulysses Bentley the fourth, probably as your lead tailback, and it's not as much star power or juice as what Quinshon brought the last 2 years in at Ole Miss. But I just think Ole Miss's offense is going to be really, really good, especially the passing game, and I think the defense takes a step forward. Pete Golding in year 2 here, because you just brought in like the front four. I mean, it's going to be really good. You've got just a lot of talent on that front. I think the linebacker spot, probably not where you want it to be, but the secondary I think should be fine. I don't know. I just look at Ole Miss and then you look at their schedule that you mentioned, like they're going to coast into, I think, the LSU game on the road undefeated is my gut there. You get Oklahoma at home, which is good. You go to Arkansas, that's very winnable. You get Georgia at home this year, which is great for you. At Florida, I mean, Mississippi State, Egg Bowl at home to wrap. Like this is not an easy schedule, but in terms of what I think they're going to be, and I think Jaxson Dart's going to be in the Heisman conversation all year long, and I think that wide receiver trio is going to be one of the nation's best. I think this Ole Miss team is going to, like, if they don't win 10 games minimum, I think something went really wrong with the Rebs this year. And I just think if you're a 10-win team in the SEC this year, you're going to get into the playoff. Is my gut. It's going to be hard for a 10-win team to get left out. So I would be very surprised if Ole Miss is, barring crazy injury luck, I just don't see Ole Miss not making their first playoff berth, which is, hey, a testament to Lane Kiffin and what he's built there last 2 seasons, winning double-digit games both times.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely you would project them to make the playoff right now, and that's more than we usually say for Ole Miss. So it's just, we have to keep in mind, we're talking about what you just said, like at worst 10-2, and right now the best Lane Kiffin has ever been is 10-2, and that's 10-2 at Ole Miss is big time. Don't get me wrong, but 10-2 should get you in the playoff, I would think, as an SEC team. But you know, we've seen crazier things happen.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.